Welcome, everyone, to this Week 9 edition of Bruce Monnin's Computer Points. I am Bruce Monnin, your host, recording from the home studio in Minster, Ohio, home of those 5-4 and playoff-bound Minster Wildcats. Also checking in from the greater Cincinnati area, we have our co-host, chief researcher, and executive producer, Rebekah Monnin.
Always happy to be here. How are our Bearcats looking?
Officially, our Bearcats are looking really well. The Bearcats are now number 21 ranked, 6-1, bowl eligible. They defeated Oklahoma State 49-17, which really sounds good, but man, our defense could not stop them for anything until we stopped them at the 5-yard line once on a fourth down. And then the next drive, they drove right down the field on us again and threw an interception in the end zone that we returned 100 yards for a touchdown. And then they quit. So it all worked out very well.
Quit.
And next drive, I think they snapped the ball over the quarterback's head that we recovered. It got ugly after that. So
yeah, 100-yard pick six is not the most encouraging thing.
I think it was the first interception the Cincinnati defense had this season in 7 games. So
and I saw a clip. They didn't try very hard. It just kind of fell into our arms and we ran with it.
Well, that happens sometimes. By the way, Rebekah, I wanted to mention I found something that related to something we talked about last week, actually, believe it or not.
Housekeeping. Okay.
Yeah, I did a brief check, very brief, and I found that there are at least 6 high school football teams playing in Guam, 6 in Germany, yeah, 4 in America,
okay,
4 in American Samoa, 4 in Italy, 4 in the Virgin Islands, 3 in Japan, 2 in the United Kingdom, 1 in South Korea, 1 in Belgium, and 1 in Spain. That's at minimum. I spent a whole 5 to 10 minutes of research on this, so there may be more.
Did your research tell you if they were like foreign national schools or American transplant schools, or was it just someone in Belgium really wants to play American football?
Just a hunch. The one I found in Spain was in Rota, which I know from NCIS, there's a naval base in
Military
Rota,
base.
Spain. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
know. So I'm guessing all of these countries I know have U.S. military bases.
Yeah.
So that's my guess.
Also wondering who they're playing against, or if it's just an internal club team structure.
Well, the 6 in Guam and 4 in American Samoa could put together a pretty good season among their own teams there. I did see one was I think Germany versus Italy game this week. So sounds like the European ones move around. So, okay, my second useless fact of the episode then. This is not related to anything last week. I was watching the Tour of Holland bike race, which may say more about me than I care to let be known.
Sure.
Not exactly the most important bike race and not exactly the most important time of the season to be training for anything else. So mostly a lot of Dutch teams showing off their sponsorship in front of the people that pay them money, I think. But anyway, I learned there is a part of the Netherlands called Barley-Nassau. And inside of there are nearly 30 parts of Belgium. They call them enclaves that are totally surrounded by the Netherlands. So these almost 30 Belgium enclaves are known as Barley-Hertog. And the part that was really fun is of some of these parts of Belgium that are totally surrounded by the Netherlands, inside of it, there's a little part of the Netherlands that's totally surrounded by that part of Belgium. So apparently this has all been messed up since like the 1200s. And they just signed the last treaty to finally finalize who owns all these places in 1995.
Oh boy.
Some of these borders go right through the middle of buildings.
Yeah,
and
they would.
This leads to all kinds of shenanigans with certain national laws, such as those 2 countries have different drinking ages, different rules for housing permits. So some people have been known to move their front door from the Netherlands side to the Belgium side if that helps out with their property taxes or their remodeling permits.
Sure.
During COVID, it was they two countries had different COVID restrictions, and it was big to be on one side or the other of the border. And there's even a bank that is built on both sides of the border, and they are known to occasionally shift all their records from one side of the bank to the other when that country's bank regulators show up. They shift the records away so that the regulators can't come to see their banking records.
I think some of these people have too much free time.
It sounds like the mayors do a lot of negotiating with each other to
Uh-huh.
get things done.
They would have to.
And also, it's turned into something of a tourist attraction where they have enough restaurants and bars to handle an area about 5 or 6 times how big they really are because people come there to walk back and forth across borders. And
Way too much time.
but at least I learned something useful watching that bike race.
It, useful? You opened it with useless fact. Are you contradicting yourself now?
Well, I have come up with a place I might want to go to on vacation someday. But
There you go. There you go. Okay.
by the way, I picked up another useless fact watching that race too, by the way.
Sure.
It was a time trial, and the highest spot on the course was a highway overpass that reached 13 meters above sea level.
Yikes. Okay. Pretty flat and pretty wet, sounds
Yeah,
like.
so when they have King of the Mountains competitions, it's by overpasses over the interstate around here.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
As a bike rider, I can tell you, I do not look forward to going over interstate highway overpasses. They can be a little steep for a out of shape guy like me.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. You're also not going up for many King of the Mountains competitions.
No, I am not. So before we
Okay.
dive into high school football, any useless things occur on your front these days, Rebekah?
Now, I wouldn't say anything's useless. I think it all has a purpose. But yes, Grand Prix de France finished this weekend. We're coming up on the Grand Prix Cup of China this upcoming weekend. The big takeaways from the French Grand Prix is Ilya Malinin, our American leader, is still unstoppable. He won the competition by like 40 points, and he didn't even break out the quadruple axel, so he's in good shape to win the Olympics if nothing goes wrong. And then on the women's side, the Japanese women did a sweep of the podium, so they're going to be the ones to fight come Olympic time. It was won. The gold medal for the women's competition went to a Amy Nakai, this was her first international competition in senior level, and she blew everyone else out of the water. So they've got a strong team over there in Japan. Granted, our the top skaters from the other countries weren't there because the Grand Prix series is pretty good at filtering out, so you don't get all the best people in one competition before the final. But still an impressive showing. Our world champion and our American national champion for women will be in the Cup of China, Miss Amber Glenn and Miss Alyssa Liu. And we'll see some more skates coming up soon. But yeah, overall good weekend. Went
You
well.
you may be surprised to know, Rebekah, that as I was turning the remote control between college football games, I came across the old quad god in Paris and I watched his program.
He looked really good. His problems in the past were that he was young and didn't have much artistic skill. He just had jumps. He's got the artistic skill now. He's really, really good. He was getting massive, they call them grades of execution. It's the bonus points you get for doing the jumps really well. You can also get negative points for not doing them well. He was maxing it out. It was impressive.
His
So
jumps
yeah,
look good. I didn't find the artistic all that fun, but I'm not big on
he's
pieces of rap music thrown in the middle and that sort of thing. That's
yeah,
not my personal style, but
he's a little edgier and a little more modern music than most of the figure skating community is ready for, but he's getting in the style points with the style he's chosen, so
I
good for
was
him.
impressed to see the Scott Hamilton backflip though in his performance. So
Scott, the black flip has been okayed for quite a few people. I don't know if they're getting penalties anymore, but Yeah, he did one. The French favorite who got fourth, I believe, second or fourth. I need to look it up. Adam Xiaohua got also did a backflip. He looked very, very good. There's a dance team who does an assisted backflip. I think I talked about them earlier in this season. So it's coming around. You'll see a lot of backflips, at least from the men at it's a pairs team. At least from the men, you'll see a lot of backflips at the Olympics as well.
Right. So I look forward to the day that the pairs competition has the simultaneous backflip going on.
They do an assisted backflip. So this is the Canadian pairs team. The base, Mr. Maxime Deschamps, throws his partner up in the air and she does a backflip from there. But someday could happen.
Well, if it seems like we're stalling, we're not because we have lots of stuff to get to on the high
We have a
school
lot
football
to
front.
get to.
We're just have fun with other things too. That's all. We are through 9 weeks of the regular season, Rebekah. That means one regular season game left. That means all of these teams, we can tell you if they win, this happens. If they lose, that happens. More or less, depending on what all
More or
the other
less.
teams, depending on what all the
We've,
other teams do, of course. But
we've got some pretty strong opinions at this point.
absolutely. So after last week's games, we have 7 new teams that we are proclaiming to be playoff bound. And unfortunately, 6 new teams who are out of contention now.
How many
There,
undecideds does that leave us?
that's a
Not an easy number to calculate, huh?
well, maybe not that hard. Let me look here. I see one.
I've got 19 by my
I
count.
believe I believe that is 19 will be our undecided yet. So, what else was it? It was also 12 teams whose status changed. In other words, they went from being playoff bound to now being guaranteed a home game or guaranteed a postseason bye, that sort of thing.
Okay,
So,
cool.
okay, and I would like to do a little reminder here before we get started. This year's playoff format: teams who finish in the top 4 in their region get a bye week, and they will then host the second round playoff game. Teams finishing 5th through 8th, they get a host their first round playoff game against teams who finish ranked between 9 and 12. Anyone ranked below 12 does not get into the playoffs. That's what we'll be shooting for here. And we are going to start right away with 2 teams who are not only in the playoffs, but have secured first round byes. That would be Division One, Region 2. So it looks like we have the week off in this region to start the
Hey,
playoffs.
nice.
We'll start here at number 2, Troy. They held their spot in the standings despite losing to undefeated Tip City Tippecanoe. We are expecting Troy to win over 3-6 Greenville. That will give the Trojans an 80% chance of earning the number 1 seed. And they could drop to number 2 if 7-2 Middletown upsets 8-1 Cincinnati Princeton this week. That looks like that's about a 1 in 5 chance of happening. So odds are Troy is going to end up facing a 5-5 team in the second round of the postseason. So I would expect we'll see Troy favored in that first playoff game also. Number 3, Findlay is now guaranteed to earn a first round bye. This set of Trojans will probably finish with the number 2 seed with a win over 5-4 Anthony Wayne, and probably be number 3 if they lose that game. Findlay should finish number 3 no matter what if Middletown pulls off that upset over, who'd I say, Cincinnati Princeton. Okay, Division 2, Region 8. We have one team, Lima Senior, number 6 in the rankings. They are now set to host their first round playoff game. The Spartans should stay at number 6 if they get a win over 2-7 Toledo Scott, and will drop to number 7 with a loss. It appears Lima Senior will probably host a Cincinnati school, either Turpin or Aiken, same as we said last week. So no real changes there.
Sure did.
Currently, number 8 Piqua locked up their postseason invitation, and they are a heavy favorite over 1-8 Sydney. Thanks to some upsets last week, the Indians are now 95% certain to finish with the number 9 seed. We had
Ooh.
them, I think we had them more like 11 or 12 last week. Pickle would travel to play 7-2 Cincinnati Withrow because that team has a 96% chance to finish ranked number 8 right now. So we can almost pencil that playoff game in for next week. In Division 3, Region 10, the top 10 teams in this region have clinched postseason berths. So there are only 2 playoff invitations still available. There are
Mm-hmm.
9 teams still alive with a chance to claim one of those 2 spots.
Yikes. Okay.
Start with the ones who have locked up their playoff spots. Undefeated number 2 Wapakoneta, newly insured of getting a first round bye. They are 2 touchdown favorites over 8-1 Lima Bath in a game that will determine the championship of the WBL. Now, as far as we're concerned, though, the game doesn't matter much. We expect the Redskins to finish number 2, win or lose in that game. Who's next? How about number 4, Lima Shawnee? They gained 4 places with their 45-24 victory over 4-5 Van Wert. The Indians have a 99% chance to finish in the top 8. By the way, Rebekah, actually very few of those 99% chances this week. So,
Well, I would hope so. We're coming down to the wire.
yep, things get a little more solid here this week.
There's very few options for figuring out that last couple spots.
Lima Shawnee should host their first playoff game for finishing in the top 8 there. Best guess is they will be the number 6 seed when all's said and done here. Number 10, St. Mary's, is a 2-touchdown favorite over 4-5 Elida. A victory means the Rough Riders are projected to finish number 8 and thus get to host their opening postseason matchup. That's the good side. The bad side is their opponent might be Toledo Central Catholic, who is 5-4 right now, but the computer thinks they are the best team in this region. They have a
Hmm.
number of
Okay.
losses versus very good private schools up in Michigan. Not too many schools in Northwest Ohio wants to play Toledo Central Catholic.
That seems reasonable.
Now for teams on the fence, we have number 13 Defiance. This is kind of intriguing to me. They are 4-5. They are playing 3-6 Salina in again, I call it a toss-up game. The computer actually likes Salina by a point or two, if I remember right. Yeah, 2 points. If Defiance beats Salina, there is a 90% chance Defiance qualifies for the postseason spot. Probably number 12, but probably that last spot.
As a fun fact for this region,
Yes.
it had a little bit of a shakeup from where we projected at the beginning of the season. We, of course, had Wapak doing very well, but the big changes are that we thought Salina was more in the likely to hit the playoffs bucket, and we thought Lima Shawnee was a little bit unlikely too. So
Yeah.
those two teams really switched up our expectations there.
I remember that. I knew Salina, if I remember right, graduated a lot of players from last year's team. I thought they would be more of a reload situation instead of a rebuild, but apparently I was wrong. So
Apparently.
I
We
hate
did,
it when that
however,
happens.
yeah, we did, however, have a strong comment that Toledo Central Catholic would be one to look out for. So
Again,
holding on to that one.
not as high in the computer points as I would have expected for Toledo Central Catholic, but I think that's still a very good team, and it's going to be tough to knock them out of the playoffs in this region. Heading south, Region 12 of Division 3. Top 8 teams in this region have earned playoff berths. There are 8 teams still alive to claim the other 4 postseason spots. So about a 50-50 shot for those 8 teams down there, I guess. It doesn't really work that way, but it sounds good.
It does.
At number 1, Tip City. They are about 95% chance that they will drop to number 2, regardless of this week's result, as they play the infamous winless opponent. Very few computer points there. Number 13, Bell Fountain, though, is an 18-point underdog against 8-1 Jonathan Alder. It is almost impossible for the Chieftains to reach the playoffs with a loss because they would have to actually move up a spot, and that's tough to do with a loss. Can be done, but it's tough. However, an upset win for Bellefontaine gets them in the playoffs, probably with the number 10 seed. So winning in for Bellefontaine.
Win and in. Okay.
Division 4, Region 14. 10 teams have secured their playoff berths in this region. Actually, the teams ranked 1 through number 10 at the moment. That leaves 2 other invitations available. 9 squads still fighting for a chance to claim one of those 2 spots. Lima Bath, however, is number 2, guaranteed to finish in the top 8 and host a playoff game. They should remain ranked number 2 if they upset undefeated Wapakoneta. If they lose, the Wildcats still have a 97% chance of a first round bye, almost certainly as the number 4 seed. A very slight chance they could fall to 5 and not get that bye, but most likely it's theirs. Number 4, Napoleon, is a huge favorite over 4 and 5 Toledo Waite. That should provide the Wildcats with enough computer points to claim the number 3 seed and get their own bye in the first round of the playoffs. Then we get to where it's a lot tougher for these teams here. Ben Logan's number 12 right now, so that says they're in the playoffs now, but they play a winless squad this week, so they're in great danger of being passed for that playoff spot. In fact, there is a 93% chance that somebody is going to pass them and knock them out of the postseason. Number 15, Van Wert, number 17, Elida are still alive. They're still alive. They need to pull big upsets, and then they need to get lucky after that. So odds are they're in tough shape when it comes to the playoffs. Although they're in better shape than here in Division 4, Region 16, both
Ooh,
number
boy.
15,
Okay.
both number 15 Urbana and number 23 Bethel out of playoff contention. So we are done with Region 16.
Oof. Short and not sweet. Okay.
Yes, short and sour or something like that.
Short and sour, like a warhead candy.
Ooh, not a big fan of the Warhead candies, but that's just me.
I kind of like them. They're not sour all the way through. It's just the outside.
Like a lemon head. Once you get through the lemon, it's pretty good on the inside.
Just don't eat 10 at once.
Not a good
Your tongue
idea.
might bleed.
And that's something we should all strive to avoid, folks.
Yeah, don't try to make your tongue bleed. That's not a good time.
And now we take a little break before we get into Division 5 with our scores of the week.
Scores of the week.
And with everything else going on, I decided to keep this a little shorter this week, Rebekah.
Oh, we don't have 7 of them like last time.
No, but we're diving more into I'm steering into the useless facts for the podcast here. So
Okay.
our first score, Cleveland John Adams 44, Cleveland John Marshall 42 in double overtime. It sounds like it could be a safety. That seems unlikely in an overtime. Sounds like a touchdown and 2-point conversion for John Adams. Touchdown
I think
failed
so.
2-point conversion for John Marshall. However, I included this because I was intrigued to find out that John Adams' mascot is the Rebels and
Okay.
John Marshall's mascot is the Lawyers.
The lawyers?
The Lawyers.
The
Doesn't everyone
fighting
the
attorneys.
fight
Let's
the fight?
go.
If you hit us too hard, we'll come down hard. We'll get the courts on you, right?
You better watch out. We know how to work small claims court. Okay.
Now, in case you're not an American history nerd such as myself, you may not know John Adams was an American Revolutionary War politician. He was never on the battlefield, never commanded anyone. He was a behind the scenes fundraiser type of guy. Spent a lot of time in Europe negotiating to get loans for America. He was also second president of the United States and probably one of our most disliked politicians in history, I would think.
He was not very charismatic.
No, very intelligent man, not a people person. The French over there really didn't get along with him well. They always wanted to deal with Thomas Jefferson or Ben Franklin. They
Yeah.
never wanted to deal
Yeah.
with Adams. Now, John Marshall, on the other hand, was the 4th Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I think he was on the Supreme Court for something like 40 years, one of the longest reigns on the Supreme Court, so to speak. And he was one of 45 people to have served in all 3 of the branches of the American government, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches. I
Very
was actually
cool.
surprised there were 45 such people, but
Yeah, that's a good number, but I guess I get, do
Usually,
they mean only in the government, the nation? What am I trying to say? The nationwide branches, not like a state or
correct,
local
correct.
government.
And most of them were things like they were Secretary of State or Secretary of the Treasury or something like that is usually their executive branch
Hmm.
experience. So not many presidents and vice presidents who did both the others.
It's mostly just Taft, right?
And I don't know if he was ever in the legislature. He was
I
Supreme
feel like
Court
that was one of my
Justice.
fun facts.
He was Supreme Court Justice and he was president. And he liked being Supreme Court Justice a lot more than being president.
Yep, I don't blame him. Most people would. Nope. Maybe not. Hold on. It's important. Only person to have held both of the chief offices, the president and the
Chief.
chief justice. Chief Justice, President, Secretary of War, Governor of Cuba,
Hmm,
Governor General of the Philippines.
he got around.
Sounds like somebody needed him to do it because they were getting it set up.
Yep.
Solicitor General, that sounds like
It's a lawyer thing.
a lawyer thing. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, that's our first score of the week. We have one more. Beaver Eastern beat South Gallia 71-51. Now, we'll come across Beaver Eastern here in the next couple of weeks. They are currently ranked number 2 in Region 28. However, this was picked because actually there were 3 of these this week, but this is the first time this score has occurred in Ohio high school football history. There has never been a 71-51 score before.
Okay.
Now, in the dark recesses of the internet where I hang out, this is known
Okay.
as Scorigamy.
Scorigami.
Whenever a new score comes up that's never happened before, it's another spot on our Scorigamy scorecard.
Not like a bingo, it's origami.
Kind of like that.
Origami is folding paper. I don't know if that's. I think maybe they were going more for the pun than for the actual application. But
It could
okay.
be.
Cool. Cool, cool.
By the way, in this game, Beaver Eastern quarterback Eric Manley set a state record with 10 touchdown passes.
So we passed all of them, huh?
Yep. So when we get to see them eventually get a good playoff game against one of our
If
teams
they
up
can
here
get a
better.
good pass defense, they'll be good to go.
Yep. Teams up here better have a pass defense. Correct.
The running's not going to do much, it sounds like.
Nope. Doesn't sound that way. Okay. Back to our Division 5, Region 18. It's the Liberty region, Rebekah.
Cheers to
And,
that.
and in
I
our
have
normal,
tea.
I have a good friend from California that whenever he says he has tea, it's of a rather adult variety.
Well, you also have a son-in-law who makes adult variety tea. But in this case, it's specifically a London fog latte. So,
Okay.
Earl Grey
Mr.
and milk.
Mr. Yoshikawa's is usually bourbon. So uh,
Ah,
he usually has a flask with him. And when he comes up, you ask him if he has any tea to share.
kind of a reversal of a norm. Whenever people drink bourbon on TV, it's usually tea in that glass because they look the same.
Oh. But
Anyway,
anyway,
Liberty Region.
our running gag here, number 1 Liberty Center and number 4 Liberty Benton, won by a combined score of 110-6 last Friday.
They're insane.
Liberty Center has a tough, and I'm doing the air quotes thing here, final game against 8-1 Archbold, where
Ah,
they are only favored by 25 points.
ah. Okay.
The win and Liberty Center locks down the number 1 seed, a loss, and they probably drop all the way down to number 2. Now, Liberty Benton is a 33-point favorite against 6-3 Van Buren. A win gives the Eagles a 2/3 chance at a top 4 finish and a first round bye, but there's still a 1/3 chance they will fall out of the top 4, have to play in the first round of the playoffs, even with that undefeated mark and with those dominating scores. Okay, Division 5, Region 20. About average here, it seems. The top 8 teams have secured their playoff spots. And there are 8 teams remaining alive for the final 4 spots. That also seems about average. We seem to have about double the number of teams alive that there are spots available.
Mm-hmm.
Not always, but in general. Indian Lake, Graham, and Miami East are all assured of at least a home playoff game in this. Indian Lake is now number 1 in the standings. They vaulted up 6 positions with a 24-21 win over number 6 St. Paris Graham. Like I said, Indian Lake seems to have had the more interesting games of almost anyone this season. Assuming they get a win as a 4-touchdown favorite over 4 and 5 Springfield Northwestern, the Lakers have about a 2/3 chance to keep that number 1 seed and about a 1 and 3 chance to fall to number 2. Number 5 Miami East fell 3 spots after beating the dreaded winless opponent.
Mm-hmm.
A win as a 4-touchdown favorite over 4 and 5 DeGraff Riverside should give the Vikings a number 3 seed and even a 1 and 3 chance to rise all the way up to number 2. So they'll get those spots back they lost last week. Number 6 Graham has a tougher game, more of a toss-up game, I would say, against 6 and 3 Richwood North Union. The Falcons are projected to finish number 5 with a win and number 7 with a loss. Although a win still gives Graham a slightly less than 50-50 chance to move up to the number 4 seed. So just a little over 50-50 to be number 5, a little less than 50-50 to be number 4. It's practically half and half. So Graham needs a win and do some rooting up the scoreboard to get that first round bye. Now, number 9, Arcanum, I was rooting hard for them for personal reasons last week. They lost 38-7 to 7 and 2 Ansonia, however.
For personal reasons?
Yes, personal reasons.
Okay.
Arcanum faces 9-0 Tri-Village as a 34-point underdog next. An upset, a surprising upset, would be 80% likely to get the Trojans a number 8 seed and a home playoff game. A more likely loss drops Arcanum to a number 10 seed, still with a 1% chance to miss the playoffs. So we can't quite say they're in, but there is one of those 99%ers there. Arcanum, even with a loss, 99% in the playoffs. Probably not going to be 12 or 11, though. I looked at it. They look like a 10 seed. Number 11, West Liberty Salem is a 10-point underdog. Ooh, I don't want to be an underdog when I'm only 2 spots above the cut line here, but
Yeah, that's not the ideal situation.
let's see what it says. They are playing 7 and 2 Mechanicsburg, which is why they are a 10-point
Yeah,
underdog.
yeah.
A win secures a postseason invitation for the Tigers and a 12% chance at a home game. A loss leaves them a 20% chance of missing out on the postseason. So they're probably in, but 1 in 5 chance they stay home next week. And not home as in hosting, home as in packing up the equipment and getting out the basketballs. Finally, it is fairly simple for number 14 Versailles. They had a tough 44-14 loss to 6 and 3 Coldwater last week. Word among some people I know in North Star is a little how shall I say it? The morale is not high at Versailles at the moment. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If the Tigers can upset 8 and 1 St. Henry as a 23-point underdog, they get into the playoffs probably as a 10 seed. If they lose, they are out. So that is about as straightforward as it gets.
Our pregame mix-up for this division are number 6, St. Paris Graham. I said that weird. St. Paris Graham, who we didn't think would do poorly, but we thought were somewhere in the... Oh, no, we did. We thought they were unlikely for the playoffs, so good for them, proving us wrong. And then sad down there at the bottom, currently in 21, Milton Union, we thought was going to be more middle of the pack. But dang.
I was thinking, Rebekah, maybe a week or 2 after the state championships, we should have the postseason review of how well or poorly we did preseason.
It's not a bad idea. Give us some accountability.
We'll do the research first and see how well we did, and then decide whether to do that episode or not.
I mean,
By
we
the way,
probably could anyway.
Yeah, I think we can.
We don't want people to start betting off of us.
By the way, going back to Versailles there are a number of teams in Region 28 who may be rooting for Versailles over St. Henry this week. Right now, it looks like St. Henry and Marion Local will be the 1 and 2 seeds in Region 28. If Versailles beats St. Henry, that probably drops St. Henry to a 4 seed and puts them on the Marion Local half of the bracket, which means everyone else in that region is going to be trying to get on the other half of the bracket.
Yeah. Yep, yep,
so
yep,
there's
yep, yep.
so Tigers Nation out there, trust me, there's some teams rooting for you. Not that they care about Versailles any, but they are rooting.
They might. They might.
Who did I tell you when we were there last week? We were delayed heading into the stadium by the homecoming parade right before the game.
It is that time of year?
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Right before the game, the floats going through town, blocking traffic going to the
Oh,
stadium.
oh, the floats.
Yeah,
They have floats?
well, kind of like Minster did. Some hay wagon with a couple of chairs on it with the
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah with
But
the
I feel
attendant and
I don't know if we ever did a parade for homecoming.
it
Or if
used to
we
always
did,
be
I was never a part of it because of band.
on Thursday night, I believe, in Minster because it would go by our house quite often.
Sure.
But anyway, Division 6, Rebekah, Region 22. How about this one? The top 11 teams in this region are in the playoffs. Only one spot up for grabs and 6 teams still fighting for it. As of this week, Patrick Henry is now qualified for the playoffs. They are in. Paulding and Sherwood Fairview are sure to finish in the top 8, get a home playoff game. We shall start with Paulding. They are 4th in the rankings right now. They are a 5-touchdown favorite over 3 and 6 Antwerp. This win gives the Panthers about a 55% chance to stay in the top 4 and earn a first-round bye. Paulding would be knocked down to a 5 seed if Bluffton beats Columbus Grove. By the way, you're going to hear that come up a lot in this region. What happens with that Bluffton Columbus Grove game, which is pretty much a
Okay.
toss-up. Oh, and here it is.
Influencing everyone else, huh?
Yep. Number 5, Bluffton faces a toss-up game against rival 6 and 3 Columbus Grove. A win gives the Pirates the 4 seed and a first-round bye. A loss and Bluffton should fall to number 6. Currently number 6, Sherwood Fairview. They should defeat 1 and 8 Hicksville. The final position in the standings for the Apaches depends on that Bluffton Columbus Grove game.
Sure.
Fairview will be number 5 if Columbus Grove wins, number 6 if Bluffton wins. Number 11, Patrick Henry, as we said, clinched a playoff spot. They are favored by 4 scores over 6 and 3 Evergreen this week, so that should move them up. An upset loss means Patrick Henry will be, number 11 or number 12 in the final standings. A more expected victory moves the Patriots up to number 7 or number 8 seed, so even hosting a playoff game. With the number 7 spot being about 80% likely to happen, the number 8 spot about 20% if they get the win. Currently, the 12th team in this region, Van Buren, runs up against 9-0 Liberty Benton as a 5-score underdog. And there is such a large gap between Van Buren up to number 11, Patrick Henry, that even with a win in that game, Van Buren should only hold on to the number 12 spot. With a loss, it looks like they're going to get passed. We have a couple other teams hoping for that 12 spot. Number 14, Convoy Crestview needs to upset 8-1 Lima Central Catholic and hope that Van Buren does not upset Liberty Benton. The most likely team to take that 12th and final playoff spot is number 17, Tenora. They have a toss-up game against 6 and 3 Edgerton. A victory gives them about a 53% chance to move up those 5 positions in the rankings and claim that number 12 and final postseason position. So all kinds of teams fighting for that last spot there. Most of them need an upset to get there. Tenora has a toss-up game. That's not as bad as needing an upset, I guess.
Right. Ooh. Ba ba ba.
Ba-ba-ba.
Sometimes you need to make a noise.
Division 6, Region 24. We have one team here still fighting for a spot. The top 8 teams have secured playoff invitations. There's 7 squads still able to grab one of the 4 remaining spots. Tri-Village is now guaranteed a top 4 finish. People at North Star talking big about Tri-Village the other days. Watch out for them come playoff time.
The people at North Star really do know what's going on.
They know their stuff there, I tell you.
They know their stuff.
By the way, Coldwater is now guaranteed to do no worse than the top 8, and Anna is now postseason bound. So we'll start with that number 2 Tri-Village team. They are one of the big movers in this region. They rose 4 places after a 40-7 crushing of previously undefeated Rebel Shawnee. So when you beat an undefeated team and put a running clock on them, that's bound to get people's attention. If they can win as a 5-touchdown favorite over 7-2 Arcanum, and remember Arcanum lost big to Ansonia last week, the win in that game gives the Patriots the top seed in the region. And even if they lose this game as a 5-touchdown favorite, they should drop no further than number 3 in the standings. Certainly number 3 Mechanicsburg fell 2 positions as they had a 26-point loss to 8-1 Springfield Northeastern. The Indians should end the season at this same number 3 position, but if they lose to 5-4 West Liberty Salem, it could drop Mechanicsburg to number 4, and there's even a 1% chance they could drop lower and lose out their first round bye. So odds are they get the first round bye. They might want to win to make sure of it. There are actually, Rebekah, some teams coming up and that for their playoff hopes, it might be better if they lose this week. I don't think any of them are going to try to, but they might have a better time of it, better opponents in the playoffs if they lose than
Is
if
this
they
just
win.
because if they lose, they won't have to face some MAC teams, or?
Or I believe one we mentioned, St. Mary's earlier.
Yeah,
They'd
yeah.
probably face Toledo Central Catholic with a win, get to avoid
Ah,
them with a loss.
yeah.
They're still going to try to win, I am sure.
Yeah, I don't know if any of the coaches are playing 4D chess like that.
I
They're
don't think
probably
so,
just going with do your best.
because as soon as you do it, it backfires on you, and there's some upsets, and you'd have been better off the other way. So,
Yeah.
where were we at? Number 4, Coldwater, I believe. They face 9-0 Marion Local. If they defeat the Flyers, that should make the Cavaliers the number 2 seed. A loss, and Coldwater should finish in 5th place, just losing out on that bye. Still a 10% chance to finish in the top 4 and get the first round bye, but most likely not. Most likely a number 5 seed.
What are the chat room boards and the stats say about their likelihood? Are they down by a couple
Computer
touchdowns or?
computer says Marion Local's an 18-point favorite.
Hmm. Okay.
Personally, Coldwater's been more of an up and down team this year. So
Okay.
sometimes you get a really good game from them, sometimes not. So if they get the good game, and I would think they'll be up for playing Marion Local. Uh, Marion Local, though, the last couple of
They've
weeks, I think
been.
they're hitting their stride. I think so.
Oh, you
They've
do?
had some they've had some close ones. They really
I was
put it
gonna
to
say
Minster
I've
this week.
seen. Oh, okay. It's
I
like a
mean,
couple weeks before that they had a good string of near losses and overtimes, so
yes, they have.
their dominance might be slipping.
Next, we have number 6, Anna. They are our biggest mover in this region. They rose 5 places after defeating 5-4 Fort Recovery, 28-24. And I was following those scores. They trailed most of that game. It took a late game comeback to get the victory. They have a game this week against the dreaded winless opponent. It
Mm-hmm.
should have almost no effect on their final spot in the standings, of course. Anna has about a 70% shot at the number 6 seed. Could drop to number 7. If they would lose to the winless opponent, they could even drop to number 8, but it would be unlikely, and the loss is going to be unlikely as well. So 6 or 7 for Anna. Most likely number 6. It brings us to Covington, 13th in the standings. I remember right, 0-4 start, 5 and game winning streak since. That sounds right. I'll have to think about that. Covington.
Covington. Yep, 4-game losing streak at the beginning.
Yep. 5-game winning streak. However, this week they play 8-1 Sydney Lehman. Covington is almost mathematically eliminated with a loss. However, they are only 9-point underdogs in this game, and an upset should vault them all the way up to number 6 and hosting a
Wow.
playoff game, give or take a spot. They could go up to 5, they could be down to 7. But either way, home playoff game for Covington if they win. Loss and they are out. So that's when you play an 8-1 team, there's a large difference in the results there in the computer points.
Big risk, big reward.
Oh, and it's time for our team of the week now.
Team of the week. Ba, ba, ba. Our team never seems so good. So good, so good, so good. Team of the week. Ba, ba, ba. We believed we always would.
And this week we are honoring 6-3 Columbus Grove. After starting 0-3 against teams who are now a combined 22-5. The Bulldogs won 5 games where they were solid favorites. And then last Friday, Grove beat undefeated Lima Central Catholic to secure a playoff berth going into their huge rivalry game against 8-1 Bluffton. The score in that Lima Central Catholic game was 33-25. I had the game on while I was doing other things. It looked to me like Columbus Grove threw a couple of untimely interceptions. Without that, they could have won that game by a lot more. So
Untimely interception.
yes. I don't know if there's a timely one, but
That's the question, yeah.
of course that sends us into Columbus Grove's region, Division 7, Region 26. This region, 8 playoff spots have been claimed. 9 teams still have a chance to claim one of the final 4 playoff invitations. Leipzig is now locked into a home playoff game. Pandora Gilboa and Columbus Grove locked themselves into the playoffs this week.
Good.
We'll start with Lima Central Catholic. They held on to the top spot in the standings, despite that 33-25 loss to Columbus Grove. 6-3 Convoy Crestview is up next, and a win should lock up the number 1 seed for LCC. A loss to the 24-point underdogs would drop the Thunderbirds down to the 3rd spot in the standings. Number 3 Leipzig earned a lot of points with a 37-6 victory over 6-3 Arlington. The Vikings are a 31-point favorite over 5-4 Ada, which should allow the Vikings to stay in 3rd place in the standings. Loss drops Leipzig right on the line between number 4 and number 5. But again, they are big favorites in this game. Expect them to end up number 3 in the final standings. Number 6 Pandora Gilboa plays a winless team. They should finish somewhere between number 6 and number 8, with the number 7 seed being, it says, a 60% probability they will finish number 7. Slight chance they will finish higher, slight chance they will finish lower. Columbus Grove jumped 7 places up to number 8 by beating undefeated Lima Central Catholic. Their game against 8-1 Bluffton is considered a toss-up game. A win should move the Bulldogs up to number 5 in the standings. A loss will drop Grove onto the number 8, number 9 line, with the 9 seed and a road trip being slightly more likely than the number 8 seed, but not by a lot. It's pretty close. Number 10 Arlington took one on the chin with a 37-6 loss to Leipzig.
You don't hear that often. Took one on the chin.
Took one on the chin, an old boxing term, I believe.
Fallen out of the lexicon, but it's still a good one.
Yeah, that doesn't quite apply near as much to like MMA stuff as it did to boxing, right?
No.
Let's see. Arlington, a 4-touchdown favorite over 2-7 Arcadia. So the Red Devils should finish number 10 in the standings. And we just said Pandora Gilboa should finish number 7. So we have a little likely playoff matchup there. Pandora Gilboa, Arlington, perhaps next week. At number 12, on the borderline, Upper Soto Valley needs a 4-touchdown upset of 9-0 North Baltimore to reach the playoffs. If they lose, other teams will pass them. With a win, the Rams would likely be the number 9 seed, although it's possible they could finish as high as number 7 or as low as number 10. And they all seem fairly equally likely. Number 14, Waynesfield Goshen. They took a big hit with a 17-0 loss to 5-4 Morrill Ridgedale. I thought they had a good chance to win that one.
Mm-hmm.
Tough night for Waynesfield. They are 11-point underdogs against 5-4 Ridgemont. If they pull the upset, that should get the Tigers into the playoffs, probably as the number 11 seed. Finally, we have number 17, Ada. They get into the playoffs with an 11 seed with a win over 8-1 Leipzig. Unfortunately, the Ada Bulldogs are 31-point underdogs in that game. So seems unlikely, but hey,
Seems
that'll be
unlikely.
that sounds like a party if they win to me.
Yeah. Just sit outside of town in your car with the radio on and drive right in as the game ends. Only if the score's good.
Boy, been a long time since I've driven into Ada. Anyway, I should make that a goal
Ada,
someday again.
Ohio.
I think that's where Ohio Northern is.
East Lima. Okay. Okie dokie.
You haven't been to Ada all that much yourself, have you?
I don't know if I ever have been. I think I've driven by the ONU sign on the highway, and that's as close as I've gotten.
That's one of those places we never drive through for any reason. We'd have to be driving,
No,
we'd have to be aiming for Ada to go there.
it
Most
seems like
like
there's not super a ton to do in Ada except for ONU.
I know I've been to ONU a couple of times, so I've been there, but that was a long time ago. Had some friends played on the football team there, so some St. Mary's graduates, big offensive linemen. Don't remember the game though. I know I was there for it. Anyway, Division 7, Region 28. Top 10 teams here are in the playoffs. 5 teams are fighting for the final 2 spots still available. St. Henry is now guaranteed to earn a first round bye with the top 4 finish. And Sonia and Sidney Lehman are new playoff bound teams. Much as we mentioned that Bluffton Columbus Grove game a lot before, much of the bottom half seedings and final playoff berths in this region will depend on a toss-up game between Minster and homestanding Fort Recovery. Everyone will be keeping an eye on that game out at Fort Recovery this week.
If Fort Recovery climbs the standings, it'll lock out some other teams from the playoffs.
Yep, and if Minster wins, that changes the seedings for no matter which team wins, it changes the seedings for everybody else.
Sure. Lots of motion.
Yep. We'll start at the top. Marion Local will be number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, St. Henry is a 23-point favorite over 4 and 5 Versailles. We mentioned this earlier. An upset loss drops the Redskins to the number 4 seed and puts them in the Marion Local half of the bracket. A victory should get St. Henry the number 2 seed with an outside chance that they will be passed by Beaver Eastern and drop to number 3. Number 7, Ansonia is almost guaranteed to remain number 7 as they are 5-touchdown favorites over 4 and 5 Mississinawa Valley. An upset loss in that game would leave the Tigers. They might still be number 7 or number 8 or number 9. Hard to tell. Depends on other games. Number 8, New Bremen faces a low computer point game against 1 and 8 Delphi St. John's. A win, and they probably fall 1 spot to the number 9 seed. Slight chance that could go up or down 1 either way. So slight chance they could go down to 10. They could actually stay at number 8 and get that home playoff game. Now we have number 9 Minster playing at number 13 Fort Recovery. The home Fort Recovery Indians are slightly favored, I believe 3 points, which is about what they generally give for home field advantage. So these are very evenly,
very slight. Yeah.
Yep, very evenly considered teams. We'll start with a Minster victory. It gives the Wildcats a 33% chance at a home playoff game. More likely, they would end up with the number 9 seed. It would also drop Fort Recovery to only a 72% chance to make the playoffs. probably as the number 12 seed. So a loss for Fort Recovery and the scoreboard watching begins. Now, let's assume that the home team, Fort Recovery, wins this game. The Indians are definitely in the playoffs then, probably as the number 11 seed, which isn't all that bad. It gets you out of the Marion local half of the bracket. Fort Recovery had to face Marion local in that first round game last year. They probably do not want to repeat the experience anytime soon. If Fort Recovery wins, that means Minster loses. It drops the Wildcats to the number 10 seed, which means no home playoff game. They're ranked a little lower, but it also gets them out of the Marion local part of the bracket. So not all disaster with a loss there for Minster, other than no one wants to go into the playoffs with 2 straight losses. At number 10, Sidney Lehman faces perhaps their second toughest test of the season, as they are a 9-point favorite against 5-4 Covington. The Cavaliers look to be the number 8 seed with a win, while a loss has Lehman falling to at least number 9 and probably number 10. And, 5-4 doesn't sound that impressive for Covington, but remember, that is a team on a 5-game winning streak. At number 14, we have DeGraff Riverside. They probably sneak into the playoffs as the 12 seed with a win. However, they are 29-point underdogs against 8-1 Miami East. So it's going to take a big upset to get Riverside in the playoffs. Number 15, Miss Cinnamon Valley. They have a 50% chance to get that number 12 seed, but they have to pull off a 36-point upset of 7-2 Ansonia just to have that 50% chance. So things look a little grim for Riverside and Miss Cinnamon Valley. That leads us into our 8-man division. Last week we said we thought it would get a little clearer this week. Well, it turns out our playoff field is set. We know the 4 playoff teams.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty dang clear. Okay.
Yep. We have Fremont St. Joseph, Southington Chalker, Lakeside Danbury are newly into the playoffs. They joined Sandusky St. Mary, who had already clinched their spot.
Do they still have games to play in the season?
There still are a few games left this week. Right now, Fremont St. Joseph, Sandusky St. Mary, and Southington Chalker are all 5-1 in the conference standings. Lakeside Danbury is 4-2. So right now, I don't think we can say any of these teams, or how shall I say that? I think every one of these teams can finish anywhere between number 1 and number 4 in the playoff seedings here. So
no one's locked in a home game, huh?
I don't think so. Now, if I was a betting man, I think Fremont St. Joseph and Sandusky St. Mary are going to be the top 2 seeds and host the first round playoff games. Lakeside Danbury plays Southington Chalker this week. The loser definitely goes on the road. The winner has a chance to move up into a home playoff game yet, but I'd say the odds are still pretty good they'll be on the road also next.
Okay.
And I say that, I don't remember if they start their playoffs the same time as the rest or if they take a week off. They may.
I was about to ask.
Yeah,
Are we staggering it to get it closer to the end of the playoffs for the
Yeah, I am not sure they
rest
did
of the
that.
division?
Was that last year they did that? Anyway,
That feels like something Googleable.
okay, you would think so, but I haven't seen it yet.
8-man football playoffs. I've got cat fur on my nose. Latonia is hosting.
Yep, the championship game is at Latonia High School. Yep.
November 8th. State championship game is on November 8th. So I assume there's going to be a game before the state championship game.
Yep. Yep, a game to play this week.
And then the semifinals
Yeah, so
on the
there's no off
1st,
week.
and then the finals on the 8th.
Yep.
I don't think there's an off week.
So Rebekah has confirmed it. The state championship game in 8-man football is November 8th. That means around November 1st should be the first round of playoffs. So there's no off week. We go right into it in 8-man football.
Thank you all for listening. This has been our final pre-playoff preview. We'll be diving into the playoff results, or at least their placements next week. You can edit that out if I'm incorrect, but I think I'm almost right. But anyway, this has been Bruce Monnin's Computer Points. And as always, we ask you to please like and subscribe this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. You can also rate and review the show on the very same platforms. Any comments or questions can be directed to us either through the comment sections on the videos or on your streaming sites, or you can send them to us by emailing bdmonnin@nktelco.net or submitting on X/Twitter to @BruceMonnin, where it might be used on a future episode. We are, of course, on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So just make sure you're looking for the 2025 episodes. You can find us by searching for Bruce Monnin's Computer Points.
I believe, Rebekah, next week you're on a personal hiatus.
I sure am.
So we have scheduled your older sister, Alexandra, to fill in for you to help us preview all of the first round playoff matchups. And who knows, next week we might even take a little sneak look ahead at some of those second round games.
Trying to anticipate who's going to be playing against the teams who had a bye.
Exactly.
Could be fun.
And then after that, I think Rebekah's back to usher us into as the big boys, the teams with the byes, start their playoff games. And with that, I guess thank you for listening, and we shall see you back here next week on Bruce Monnin's Computer Points.